it's more fun, I think, to do stuff with people rather than solo. But you definitely been doing really good flying
Yep.
solo when I've been able to hop in for
We're on
like
now. We're
10.
live. Hello, everybody. It's when we feel like it o'clock. I'm Pearl of Wisdom, and you're listening to the Pearl of Wisdom Show. Got myself a fancy blue tie, bow tie. Isn't that nice? Goes well with the
The
pink.
new bow tie, yeah.
Yeah, I got some new ones. I'm gonna get some pearl. I gotta get some Perlo ones. How you doing, everybody? Hockey News Reports is in the house early today. Gold star for you, jacket and go
He
caps.
just did a great video on the expansion, or not the expansion draft, excuse me, how the draft lottery rules have changed. Hockey News did. I
Oh, really?
commented on it and told him
I'm gonna have
he
to.
did a very good
I'm gonna have
job
to
on that
watch
too.
that, man, because I don't know how it is, and that's kind of the big news right now. Do you know, Joe, kind of what's going on there?
They're changing it from you can't now get a draft pick. Only 2 out of 5 years can you win the draft lottery. So you can't just consistently like your Oilers did keep winning. It's only you can move up 11 spots now in it, so it's the top 11 are technically in the lottery after I think that's 2022. Then the top 16. So it changed some things. It allowed for the worst team to only get as low as the third pick, so you couldn't have what happened to the Red Wings. They couldn't drop down to the fourth pick. They could only drop down as far as the third pick. So it changed some things to benefit for maybe the short term teams from tanking, but it doesn't really benefit you from tanking overall because you're not going to be able to continuously win the first overall pick because you can only win the lotto, excuse me, no matter how bad you are, 2 out of 5 years.
Right.
So
Oh, okay. So you can only win the lotto two times in 5 years. So
in a 5 year stretch after, I think that starts after next season, though, not yet.
okay, so if I win the lotto, say this year doesn't count, right? So if I win the lotto next year, say Seattle wins the lotto next year, they can only win it one more time in the next 5 years.
Yeah, but if they are continuously the worst team, though, the lowest pick they can get as the worst ranked team is third. So what happened to Detroit in this year's draft, where they dropped down to fourth, and New York, who was the 18th team, moved all the way up to first? That won't really happen as much in the new strategy because the 18th team won't even be an option since it's only going to be the top. So, I mean, there'll be an option, but there'll be a lower percentage, I think, and the lowest team can only get third at the worst. So, usually a top four to third is not much of a difference, especially in a deep draft. But they try to adjust it so you don't get screwed if you're a team that is rebuilding, excuse me, more just for the market you're in and where you're just at in this point of your career as a former actually contender, like the Red Wings were in the early 2000s, compared to teams that they've had to pay money into, like the Coyotes over time. They might not be as prone to try to protect those teams, but I think there's teams that they definitely want to protect, and that's why they changed the rules. But I think it definitely encourages teams to try to get better sooner. Because yes, you can get a top three pick guaranteed, but you're only getting the best Kahuna in the draft 2 out of 5 years.
I
So
see.
I think you would rather contend sooner rather than later with that new
Okay.
format, in
So
my
if you're the
opinion.
worst team, you can't do any worse than third, but you can only actually win it twice. I gotcha.
Yeah, that's why I think it moves teams to contend a little bit quicker. Because if I'm a GM, if I can only win it 2 out of 5 years, I want to contend quicker because it's most of these drafts have been very deep anyway. So if I have very good confidence in my scouts, I should be able to snag a great guy like a Jake Neighbors type or somebody like that in the 20s when you have guys really scout him and say this kid has rawness to his game that'll take a couple years, but we think when he hits it, he'll be right there with some of these other
Yeah.
cats. So if I believe in my scouts, I think this is a format that's going to lead to teams like the Coyotes, teams like that, teams like Detroit, which I think they're doing with Stevie Y anyway, in my opinion, to try to push to contend in the next like 3 year stretch rather than a little bit later.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Sports Fanatic News is where Projo is. His channel. Of course, we're all part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. So all of us, off the wall hockey, Peyton, who you see on here all the time,
On the rate.
Slapshot Sweethearts. What else do we got there, Joe?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Go Caps, for shouting me
And
out. I
say
really
hi,
appreciate
everybody. Kyle Mercer,
it.
Go Caps, all you
Yeah,
guys.
hi,
Thanks for
hi,
coming in,
CL,
man.
hi, Kyle Mercer, hi, Joey. Joey, thanks for commenting on a lot of my videos. I really appreciate it, as well as you, Go Caps, and Hockey News. Really love you guys, really supporting it, and UCL, I know, look at some stuff too. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Um, I just think those changes, to wrap it up, though, to me, are smart by the league, and it just shows that the NHL, more so than some leagues, try to stay on top of, because people were calling for changes, and they stay on top of what the trends of what the league wants a little bit better than some leagues, especially baseball.
Mm.
Um, but even a little bit better than a league like the NFL, where I might not be able to say that as much as the NBA, because the NBA is one of the biggest trendy leagues, but the NHL stays up on their trends definitely better than two of the sports leagues, in my opinions. Where if the people of power are calling for something, Bettman and Daly will get together and say we probably want to work with the powers that be to change the structure a bit so people kind of like it better rather than the way it is now.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Gary Bettman does always thinks outside of the box. It seems to be, anyways. He gets in trouble sometimes when he does so and things don't work out, like the uh, the ice that happened with the outdoor game. But nobody had ever tried that before, you know. So, like, if you're willing to do things that nobody's ever tried before, sometimes you're going to have to adjust things or whatever the case may be. But he's a pioneer and he does things. He's not afraid of taking in information and doing things that kind of go outside of the box. So I really like him. He's actually kind of, I think Gary Bettman's become sort of a hero of mine in a sense. Like I have a lot of respect for that man. So it's pretty cool. As far as commissioners go, I'd say he's pretty fantastic. Okay, so
Yeah, he's my favorite
for
commissioner.
sure.
That's for
Yeah,
sure. Of all the sports leagues, he's for sure. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, did somebody say anything? Anyways, we got lots of people in here, so we
Well,
can.
GoCap said, "Did you hear about my caps?"
I think he was saying, "Did you hear
And
about my Caps? What about it? Something happened with the Capitals? I never heard anything about the
uh,
Capitals. No.
I know their next game is not until the 25th. From It's a 5 day break, but I don't know. Was that because they had something get canceled, or did they just have a 5 day break? I know they have a 5 day stretch, but I'm not sure if it was because another game got postponed or canceled or postponed or just a 5 day break. I thought that was just a 5 day break. The only other thing with the Caps was TVR re-signed for 2 years. Trevor Van
Oh yeah,
Riemsdyk.
he signed for 2 years for a million,
Yeah.
900 and a million or something like that.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of smart because he's just a decent 6'7". If you can develop him, maybe more of a 5'6", because
Yeah.
he showed that a bit in Carolina, and you're not paying him
I think
anything.
at
He's
that
just a good.
price they're looking at him at a 5'6", probably in next year or something like that. They're looking at him somewhere nice cheap 5'6" option. So that'd be pretty good. They obviously like what they see.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you don't know how long Char is going to keep playing for either. So you have to. He's a good, just doesn't usually keeps the game simple, doesn't make much mistakes. Defenseman to have, just in case a guy. Obviously, he's not going to replace Chara. Chara's Chara, but that just makes it the case. And also, hey, Michael Irish, I'm Joe. Steele's the other guy with the beard. He's the gray bearded one.
Yeah.
But Hope you're doing well. But yeah, that would just be my take on it. I think he's a good guy to have just because you don't know how long Char's going to stick around. And there's some other guys that you don't know if you're going to look to move them because you have to create cap space for re-signing guys like Ovechkin and Vrana. It's going to depend on those things as well.
Okay, I'll talk to the chat in here while with him. No way. I'm just going to say no. What about him? Okay, so that was pretty much the news. By the way, we just did a show, the Western Division Trade Deadline show, which will be on both of our channels. Go check it out. Watch it in bits. We had so much to say. It's about an hour and a half long, but it's well worth your time, I can assure you. I would say watch it in bits. It'll be on my channel. It'll be on Joe's channel. Also, for all my picks, you can go on my channel and watch them too. So if you're wanting to see what you want to pick or go back and see what I picked there in the first 5 minutes, it gives you quick picks, and then I run down all the reasons why I make my picks and stuff like that. But talking about picks, we got to get at, because this 2 hour program seems to go pretty fast. Yeah, we were just talking about Van Riemsdyk right now, Go Caps. We just talked about it. We like that signing for sure.
I've always liked TVR. I've always been a big fan of the Man Reemsdyke's a quick, no more than 30-second story for you, Go Caps. Is an auction my mom won when she got my dad and I tickets in the press box. You know how much Pirlo I'm into the young guys and their development. Even as a young buck, I was like that. Where this was like back when Van Riemsdyk was first on the Flyers. So this was years ago when I was obviously much younger. I was talking to my dad, talking about how I really like Van Riemsdyk and the way this kid's developing and a guy in front of us turns around and goes, "Oh, that's my son." James Van Riemsdyk's dad in the press box was sitting right in front of us, so we ended up talking to him. I've always been a fan of the Van Riemsdyk's. I think it's a smart deal to lock them up. They're great locker room guys, no matter what they do on the ice, regardless. And I think he'll be pretty darn good on the ice.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Yesterday was the 22nd, right? Yeah, so there we go.
Correct.
Cool
Yes.
story. Okay, so we're gonna get into our picks for yesterday. Why is this working like this? Live stream. We're gonna get for our picks for yesterday's, guys. So get out your what you're gonna do now because we got the.
Oh yeah, I know we're talking about Trevor Go Caps. I'm just saying that in that story I was talking about JVR because he was on our team. I wasn't talking. Trevor was just in the cap or in the not the capital in the Blackhawks system at that point, not even up with their team yet at the time of when I was at that Flyers game. But I like Trevor too. He's a guy I wanted the Flyers to honestly reunite with his brother, but that didn't happen because he's a more defensive guy, which is exactly what the Flyers need. But it's a good thing that you guys were able to lock him up, and congratulations to him.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, get out your stuff. Remember now, when we go into the picks part, you're gonna tell me which swag you want. It's going to be the Pearls of Wisdom necklace, the Perlo bracelet, or the Ring o' Perlo. So, so whenever whoever gets the score and the thing right, you'll have that choice. If you don't know, if you're new here, we're going to be going through all the games. We're not just going to be going through the scores. We're going to talk about all the games and that happened last night. And then we're going to go through the scores, who got it right, who got it wrong, and then they get fabulous prizes. And then later after the first hour, we'll get into picks, and you can then put your picks in for for who you think's going to win and what the score is going to be. And we do it all over again tomorrow. The frolic never ends. Okay, let's go. The first one, and Joe doesn't even he's on the show and he doesn't even get an opportunity to get swag. Imagine that. See, that's how good he is. Because he wasn't available yesterday. Because I don't know why. I don't know what could possibly be more important, but apparently there was something. Okay, Sabres versus Rangers. First, First, we'll go and we'll look to see if anybody got the score accurate. Sabres versus Rangers. Holy crap, we had lots of people in here yesterday. What the heck? Okay. No, maybe we didn't. No, we didn't. Hockey News Reports had 4-3 Sabres. Mercer,
That was close to the actual score,
yeah,
just the wrong way.
right.
Yeah.
Mercer had 4-1. Oh, no, wait, I got the wrong one. Sabres versus Rangers. Yeah, no, 4-1 Rangers. I got it right. Serrano had 3-2 Sabres. CL had 3-1 Rangers. I had 4-3 Sabres. I thought it was a good spot for the Sabres yesterday. But get this, and I don't even think he's in here right now. Is Ulysses in the house? Because you got to be here to get the swag. That's part of the deal. Is Ulysses
Yeah, he said,
Ulysses
hey
in the
there, Earl.
house? Ulysses wants a bracelet. Done, dude. Helen, the first Perlo bracelet goes to Ulysses Hayes. You are getting the first Perlo bracelet ever, my friend. This is a this is like you can sell this on eBay 20 years from now and retire. So you're getting the first one ever. So she's doing it up for you right now. We're gonna put a little UH on it and everything. Woo! Excellent. Okay, what
So
about
he got the score. He
he
got the
got
five
he
to
got
three
the
score.
score and he got the team. Boom, nailed it.
Wow,
Okay,
nice.
yeah, I know, right? What do you think about that Rangers Sabres game, my friend? And try to keep it short because we got to move on. But
Yeah. Well, I think the Rangers obviously took it to them. They led them in 21 shots to the Sabres 19. I was honestly pleasantly surprised that the Sabres scored 3 goals. Um,
yeah,
so they were able to actually keep it close and make it a 5-3 game. Tokarski didn't play too poorly. It's just his team hung him out to dry like they've done with every other goaltender that's been in net for the Buffalo Sabres this season. So that hasn't changed. The Rangers took advantage of a team that's one of the worst in the league when their roster that is actually pretty good, just not performing to their ability. So I think it was a great game, and it was great to see for Rangers fans, Kako pot a goal because he's looked good on the ice, just hasn't got it going on the score sheet. Maybe he can get something going there, and then because he actually got 2 goals to get his third and fourth yesterday, first 2 goal game for him. Good to see for him. That's the biggest thing I take away from that. A good win for the Rangers taking advantage of a poor team, and maybe Capo Caco can build on his 2 goal performance to actually get on the score sheet now.
yeah. I think Kapokako is going to be fine. We're starting to see with players like Lafreniere and Kako and stuff like that. It's just really difficult to get in to work up your way into the league right now. These are extremely talented kids, right? But Lafreniere is a big boy. He's body ready. He's physically ready, and all of those things. But this league is the separation between junior and AHL is widening. Where I personally think they really got to find a way to get more players available for the AHL, so they're not jumping up that much. You know what I mean? Like it's very difficult for them. Kako back, I think 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if a player like Lafreniere or Kako could jump right in the league and be fine, right? But it's just the game has gotten so much faster, so much more physical in a lot of ways, where you're getting hit at so much speed, so much more conditioning involved now, all of that. That there's needs to be a little more of a step for these guys. I think it would be a lot better for the development of them,
Yeah,
for sure.
that would involve changing the rule, which has been discussed in more analyst writing and like freelance writers like myself that I haven't written about it, but others that have. Since we've had guys that were supposed to play in the Western Hockey League from the get-go or in the OHL that are still in the AHL now, performing at high levels, that's been thrown out in rumors. Should they try to change the NHL and CHL agreement with the rest of the minor leagues as well that if you're able to play, should you be able to play right away in the AHL, or at least the great Tony Andrakis, when I was at the game, said to me inside the AHL reporter, a big great AHL reporter, at least maybe first round picks even if they
Yeah,
still would have in the past rule been eligible
yeah,
for the OHL or Western Hockey League or CHL, whatever on any CHL Junior League, the BCHL, whatever it is. If you picked a guy that did great in the first round, I think they should be able to come and play in the AHL immediately, and that's a thing that I think I would agree
yeah,
with. I would personally, just because of how deep drafts have become from how good talent has got in Russia, in Sweden, in Finland, in Switzerland, all those countries, as well as North America. I think I would extend it to the first two rounds, but that's just me. But I would be fine if they just did first round. But I think
yeah.
you should look into changing that rule. I agree with you.
Totally, totally agree. Okay, we got to keep her rolling here. Uh, okay, they're talking about picks there. Ulysses is they're bantering back. Ulysses is pretty good at picks. He's pretty darn good. So they like to come in and feed off of him, nibble off of Ulysses on that. Uh, yeah, Projo is in the. I forgot to mention that he is in the Seattle apartment on the East Wing. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I got him in the Perlocopter earlier today. Okay, next game we have Hurricanes versus Blue Jackets. Uh, let's talk about this game here. We went into it, first of all, we'll see who got anybody got the score right. Jacket had 3-2 Canes. Mercer had 3-2 Canes. H&R had 5-3 Canes. Avatar had 5-4 Canes. CL had 4-3 Jackets. And Perlo had 3-1 Canes. Oh, so
You were the
close.
closest, yeah.
Okay, Blue Jackets do look better, but Hurricanes with Nedeljkovic in it is the way to go, right?
Yeah, he's been really good. I did watch an away broadcast the other day. I can't remember which game it was because I watched too many games last week, but of when the Canes were on, and they were saying Nedeljkovic has been the guy that's really stepped up for them quicker than I think they thought he might have. But Reimer has now balanced himself out when he plays the right, correct amount of games, which has always been the thing with him in his career. He's actually played pretty well now this year to kind of be that guy that Nedeljkovic is a guy that has stolen you when you've rarely performed poorly. But Reimer at a 909, a 268, 12-4. They play for him, and he's a guy that just obviously has always been around because of how great of a goalie he is in the room. He's a guy. It seems like Nedeljkovic as a youngster is the same thing. And Mrazek pretty much is that a high energy guy that you just like his energy, similar to guys like Smith and guys like how Bishop was before he's been banged up of late. So I think they got a good pairing there. You got Mrazek coming back. This team's firing on all cylinders. People just gave the Tortorella led Blue Jackets the benefit of the doubt and thought they even against a high firing Canes team were going to be able to score some goals, which I probably would have done the same. I would have probably predicted that as like a 3-2 or something, even because usually you see a little bit more compete out of the Blue Jackets than you saw in this 3-0 loss that Brady Shea also. I will say, who's been very good defensive numbers. If you look at his defensive numbers on like Money Puck or whatever,
Yeah,
or like anything. His defense numbers have been by far the
yeah,
best this year.
yeah.
Now was able to pot his first goal, so he's having a hell of a season. And then Nakis, we know how much you like
Oh, I
Nakis.
love
He had that
Natchez. Yeah,
great goal. Yeah, on a snapshot going towards the net with a great assist from Sebastian Aho. So this was a game. It was all Canes most of the time, and congratulations for them keeping their hot streak going. I think this team is definitely a top contender. They sure look like it at a plus 26 this season on differential as well. So
yeah. Yeah, no, Brady Shea went over to Carolina, and it seems like they just said, let's focus on D right now, and then don't worry about the offense so much. Where when he was a Ranger, they tried to have him be a more offensive type defenseman, and he kind of struggled there. But now that he's focusing more on the D side, he seems to be turning into like a Brett Hedican type guy, that kind of guy. If you
Hmm.
remember Brett Hedican, which nothing wrong with that, So no, totally. I asked Sportsbeard, new to the channel that I think he is. Anyways, the Jackets are struggling. I think the losses on the back end have hurt them more than anything. I agree. I think it's just the overall having to acclimate all these new guys into the lineup and stuff like that. I still think CBJ is going to be okay. That was the first game after a long. I don't know what was. I can't remember. It's just Carolina with Nedeljkovic is tough to beat. Simple as that. They're a tough team to beat right now. But anyways, I'm going to get on to the next game here because we got a half an
It's
hour.
going to also depend. I was just going to say how they match up against Chicago for the rest of the season, since that's the only team they really have a chance of catching.
Yeah,
It's all about how they match up with
yeah,
Chicago. And I still think Chicago at a -11 to a -20 differential that CBJ has. I need to see a more defensive game that normally isn't lacking in Columbus to be a little bit more steady
yeah.
for me to think third be the team to be in fourth
I,
place. But we'll
I
have
think they're
we'll have
turning
to
it
see.
around. I think they're turning it around. So, anyways, let's get to the Flames and Senators. Uh, I think that's what we're doing now. Yeah, because Oilers and Canadians was canceled.
That was canceled.
Jacket
COVID, yeah.
4-1 Flames. Mercer 3-2 Flames. H&R 5-4 Sens. Did have the Sens. Serrano 4-2 Flames. Avatar 3-1 Flames. What was the score in that game?
2-1 Senators.
Oh, I had 3-2 Senators. CL. Boom. CL nails it. 2-1 Senators for CL. What would you like, sir? A ring, a bracelet, or a necklace? And let's give some hype to CL in the chat. 2-1 Ulysses had 2-1 Flames. Okay. This game,
Yeah,
this.
well, we also
Hmm?
you have to give some hype to Philippe Gustafson too for this team. Unfortunately, Decord got injured right after he got his
Yeah,
first win last week, but they got two goalies that got their first wins in a week.
yeah.
You got Decord last week, who I hope comes back healthy and performs well last year or next year. It's unfortunate what happened to him. And now you got Gus, and I've talked about you in episodes I was on earlier this year how I like this kid. Comes up, does great. I like you, Rasmus Anderson, but stop it. Don't do what you did yesterday ever again. But he got that game puck after that fiasco. But he had a great game, and he's a big reason they won because look, he made 35 saves on 36 shots. I would say the Flames actually played this game pretty well. And then you had Dzingel, who's been consistently solid, and Tierney be able to pot the goals. I think the Flames played this game pretty well. Gus played a great game to get his first NHL win and really helped carry the Senators to this win, in my opinion.
Yeah. The Calgary actually played fairly well considering they had a tough back-to-back series with Toronto, uh, and then had a day off and then went to Ottawa. Ottawa's a tough team. You're not going to go in there and bulldoze over Ottawa. You're going to have a fight on your hands when you play them. Calgary did outshoot them, if I remember correctly, and
Correct.
did outplay them in a lot of ways. Now, you mentioned Gustafson. I took Ottawa a lot because you did talk about Gustafson, and I looked at his numbers, and he is the goaltender of the future. Now, I don't know if he's going to be doing that all the time now, but
No, yeah, I don't know
but
about that
but
either.
but you get he's a nobody knows this goaltender. That's huge in the NHL. They haven't figured him out yet. So I liked Gustafson in that spot because he's skilled, he's talented. He probably has some weaknesses, but nobody knows what they are yet. So that I liked him in that spot. Anyways, that's why I picked him there. So uh, great. Murray is banged up a bit. Yeah, Murray. What's going on with Murray? He's got a low. I think it's a low. I think he's got back issues or something like that. Uh,
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember exactly.
but anyways, we got to continue flying here because we got a half an hour. We got 5 games to go. So Islanders Flyers. What was the score of that game?
Also 2-1. That was
Yes,
Bavillier's wraparound
to
goal. Yeah.
Pavillier's wraparound goal. I just sweated that one out because I had the Islanders to win, although I didn't want them to win. I hate that when I put picks in and it's not my team and you're watching it and you're like, yeah. Anyways, Islanders versus Flyers. Jacket had 4-1 Isles. Ulysses had 4-2 Isles. Mercer had 3-0 Isles. Avatar had 6-2 Isles. CL had 3-2 Flyers because CL only takes the Flyers. It wouldn't matter if half the team had COVID, he'd still take the Flyers. Rickett 3-1 Islanders, darn close. And Serrano 4-2 Flyers. Uh, Flyers had a better game. Let's, try to put a little cherry on this, right?
They played a great 60. They had 37 to 15 in shots.
Yeah,
They played a great 60 where honestly they probably would have won in regulation if Ilya Sorokin, like I jokingly said, didn't play like Dominic Hasek in net in that game. He's been getting hot. You already have Varley. They're a team in the lead for the Masterson for the goaltender. One of the teams in the lead competing for the Masterson. They have some other contenders there, but I would say Minnesota's one of them, but they're definitely doing good out there. And now that Sorokin's performing at this level and how good they're playing the Islanders, they're one of the most dangerous teams in the league to play
yeah.
right
Mm,
now. And Tomas Hickey, who has a great story, I don't want to get into it because of time constraints, but
yeah,
look it up.
yeah,
He's back and performing well too.
yeah. That was
So
a pretty cool
I think
story.
this
Yeah,
team's set to go on all cylinders, but the Flyers have to build on that great regulation play
yeah,
and not worry about try to move on from the goose egg you laid in OT
yeah.
because they look like they were playing 3-on-3 hockey at 4-on-4. So that's why they lost that game.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of things to build off for the Flyers on that game. Now they got a back-to-back in New Jersey, and we'll be talking about that in a second. But overall, this was the defensive type system that their defensive type play that the Flyers need to play. And I have a feeling, and I know I was calling for AV's head. It's emotional. Um, I have a feeling that AV kind of allowed this to happen in order to get his point across in some ways. I think he's like, you know what, you guys are going to do this. And eventually they got embarrassed on national television. And my thinking is he's going to say, are you going to listen now? You know? So if it wasn't listening, so we'll see what happens with Philadelphia. I think they're going to have a tough time against New Jersey, but we'll get into that when we get into that. What do we got? Anybody saying? Elliott on the road and Hart at home, Ulysses says. Only play Hart at home. But eventually you're going to need Hart to be able to play on the road. So that's just the way it is. But I agree with you. Elliott Hart seems to have a difficult time on the road. And we're going to see him on the road tonight.
He does.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with Ulysses on that, on him saying that they play well, just defense fell apart, and I still don't like Elliott. I always liked Elliott just because Moose is another goalie, great leader in the locker room. Hart's touted him for how great of a leadership that is, and also last year he didn't have the sexiest stat, but he made the saves he had to make and was big reason why the Flyers were able to make it last year because of Carter Hart's struggles on the road. Where this year his stats are very surprising. He obviously helped St. Louis back in the day. I think he's a goalie that gets too much flack at times just because he's never developed after St. Louis thought he might be able to into that consistent starter. But he's been a very good backup for his entire career. Even when he's put up 3 something goals against average, he's always had pretty good numbers when you look at him throughout and more in depth numbers rather than just goals against and save percentage. And made the saves he has to make. I think he's a great leader to have in your goaltending room. That's why I've always liked Moose, and I know he's a fan favorite here in Philadelphia.
yeah,
So if you say that on the streets of Philly, that's probably a good way to get into a tussle with some people. But
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a great guy. Okay, we're going to move on to Ducks versus Wild. This was a surprising game, but we'll
Oh
go
God,
through.
the talk.
Rickett took the Wild 4-1. Ulysses took the Wild 4-2. Jacket took the Wild 5-1. Serrano took the Wild 3-2, closest. Mercer took the Wild 5-1. CL took the Wild 6-2. Avatar 4-2 and Perlo 5-2. So everybody took the Wild here. And we just got finished talking about the Ducks in the Western Division trade and the Wild for that matter. Um, the Wild now have lost two, got slammed by Colorado twice. It's hard on the psyche to get slammed like that by any team, especially when you're feeling really good. The Wild were beating up on a lot of teams. Then they get slammed by Colorado. Then they go into Anaheim, and I watched that game, and they look like a little unsure of themselves now all of a sudden.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think they're still all right. I mean, I think everybody has their game that they're going to play a little bit closer against teams you would expect to kind of perform at a much higher level against. I think the Ducks are a team, though, if you come in and you just think you're going to be able to smooth sail past them, they obviously have a couple young guys that will be able to get it done in the Jones of the world, the Troy Terrys who potted one of the goals. Um, and those guys, so you can't just sneeze at them even being one of the worst teams because they have some offensive guys that will be able to create opportunities, which is what happened yesterday, where I think the Wild might have just played a little bit back, thinking they could kind of make this be a little bit of an easy game at the start of the week for them to kind of just push forward and then play them again Wednesday, where I think Wednesday you're going to see the Wild come out with a lot more pounce tomorrow and have a much better play throughout rather than kind of just finding a way to win a game. But all good teams do that when they're not playing their best hockey. That's what good teams do. They find a way to win, and that's what I would say they did in this game. They definitely did not play their best hockey, but with that Bukestad goal, who's been, I think, playing much better than they thought as a fourth liner for them, really fitting in there well. They were able to find a way to win.
Yeah, Dean Evison's too strong of a coach to have this be a slide, really. But I know Professor MJ. He does a lot of great picks, and he's go check him out on his channel. He's fantastic. He picked Anaheim for this game, and I get it now because when a team like Anaheim's going up against a team that just got shellacked by that twice, it kind of builds up your confidence a bit that you can take this team now, and the other team may be a little bit shaken in their confidence. So it was a good spot for Anaheim, but Anaheim can't get it done. They just don't have the offense in that lineup right now. Also, they don't have Gibson, and yeah, there's a lot of things going on there in Anaheim. But you can watch that. Go watch the channel that we or go watch our show. I'm going to post it this evening. You can watch it on my channel or Sports Fanatic News about the trade deadline show. Okay, Blues versus Knights. What was the score of that game?
The Blues versus Knights, it's loading up for me right now, was 5-1.
5-1,
That
right?
was that was the biggest gap of the day, other than well, tied with the Avalanche game.
Right. Ulysses had 5-3 Vegas. Jacket had 5-4 Vegas. Avatar had 6-5 Vegas. Serrano 3-1 Vegas. Mercer 4-3 Vegas. Brock 4-3 Blues. Brack, he's not in there. Close. CL had 4-1 Vegas. Rickett had 4-2 Blues. And Perlo had 3-2 Vegas. Nobody had 5-1. But this Blues team having a difficult time recovering or finding their way in a lot of ways, it's actually kind of impressive and not impressive, because they've been out without a lot of guys this year, and the fact that they're still in the playoff hunt is actually pretty darn good. But it's just when you watch them play, they just don't look like the Blues you're used to seeing, right?
No, and I think it's because early on, up until the last week or so, Bennington's been very consistent. He's had a couple games in the last week and a half that he's let his emotions, obviously trying to fight Devin Dubnyk in one of them while skating off the ice, get the best of him a little bit again. I've liked how he's, for the most part, settled down and kind of used that to his advantage rather than disadvantage now. But I think with guys coming back, having Vladdy back now has always been one of my favorite players to watch when healthy. That dude has immense skill offensively and doesn't usually do what he's doing defensively right now when he actually has his full hockey speed back under him. So I think you'll see that get better. But I just think the Golden Knights took it to them in this game. I was very disimpressed. I watched most of this game until I just shut it off when I knew Vegas was easily going to win. Um, so I think I know at the start of the game, sometimes you lose momentum when a bad goal starts the game, and that's kind of what happened in this one. You have Marchessault score a one I think Bennington would really want back, that went through his wickets there. So I think after the face-off, and I think that kind of started the trend downward for the Blues from the beginning, and the Coyote or not the Coyotes, the Golden Knights just never let up. And Mark Stone, their captain, had a hell of a game. And then we have to shout out Keegan Colasar, who was able to score his first NHL career goal, the 23-year-old that's actually turning into a pretty good player that they got from Columbus that they picked in the third round of the 2015 draft. So congratulations to him to finally notch in his first goal. But this was all Vegas, hands down. I think the goal at the beginning kind of set the trend for the Blues to struggle because that goal I think Bennington would really want back.
Yeah, and that's the other part about this is Bennington really hasn't been uh, this a $6 million goaltender this year, which you just signed a contract for. Now, as Ulysses in the chat states that, Falk and Krug are not really the guys you want as a 1-2 necessarily. I do like Krug, but having Pareko there is a big loss. Big, big, big loss. Like it,
Well, Falk's also overperformed this year, though, I would say. I
yeah.
didn't expect Justin Falk to have the numbers he has.
See, I kind of liked Falk the whole time. I thought the problem when he came into St. Louis was that everybody knew that he was the guy that was going to make sure Peter Angelo wasn't coming back.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's a
So
difficult thing for a
that's why he was
player
pushed
to
away.
have to. Yeah, it's kind of the elephant in the room, uncomfortable, really uncomfortable for him there, I think. And I think I like Falk a lot better than a lot of people. Analytics people, I found analytics that showed Falk to be not bad. I just don't think you want him as a 1-2, do you?
Well, Paranka would be the guy that would be where Falk is. Falk would probably be on your second defensive
Right.
pair if everything was right in a perfect world. But I think, no, you would want him more in your second defensive pair. I agree with that. But he definitely deserves the credit for how much he has been able to
Yeah.
step up this year for the Blues while Colton Paranka hasn't been able to go.
Avatar's in the house. Everybody, Avatar freaking hype. Welcome, buddy. We're not into our picks yet. We're still talking about the games from yesterday. Okay, this is Pro Joe. You got to know Pro Joe, Professor Joe Bork. He's got sports. He's on Sports Fanatic News, and he's part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. That's why he's on right now. Uh, okay, Canucks versus Jets. Serrano had 4-3 Canucks. Was this 2-1 Canucks? No, Jets. Jets won.
No, that was that 4-0 Jet
Jets,
shutout.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ulysses had 5-2 Jets. Jacket had 3-2 Nucks. Mercer had 4-2 Canucks. CL had 3-0 Jets. So close, CL. I had 3-1 Jets.
Yeah.
I had the right amount of goals. And Rickett had 3-1 Jets. So this was just a tough one for Vancouver because they just flew from Montreal home. And then you're playing this really scary Jets team. Let's face it, this Jets team can do some damage this year. This Jets team, to me, looks like a team that can do some damage in the playoffs if we add a couple, maybe a piece or two on the back end, don't you?
Yeah, they definitely look like they're a team that means some business. Dubois, the funny thing is Dubois has been looking a little bit better recently, but it's not like he's been the biggest reason why they've gone on this stretch run. Everyone's just kind of pitched in their first line. That's always been very good for that Jets team. Obviously, has continued to do that, and they've just continued to perform. Hellbuck's continued to be one of the better ones in the league. And Adam Lowry, who was able to pot two for them in that 4-0 victory, is one of the more steady defensive centers, faceoff centers, but now this year his score is adding to the score sheet a little bit more to be able to chip in for the Jets on the score sheet as well. So this is just a season they're getting everything they want out of their players. Paul Maurice's, and they've really put this team together well. I think they should probably in games they can not overtax Hellbook as much. He's played 25 games, only eight for Brousseau, who's actually looked good when he's played in
Yeah,
those eight this
yeah,
year. But so I think you got to pick your spots to rest Hellbuck more. But their team is now three lines deep with Kopp, Lowry, and Appleton line being one of the more
yeah,
productive third lines in hockey.
yeah,
That's really spaced out their team. So I agree with
yeah.
you. The only thing they might want is defense to add in one other guy,
You
so
got
you don't have to have the continuous guys that are more role guys to good steady guys, but not the sexiest of names in your defense. You can maybe add somebody like a Jomerson, a Goligoski, or somebody along those elks that's on the market and go out and get them. So I could see that being the case. Other than that, this team's pretty set though to be able to make a run. They've really started to impress after not having as hot of a start as we envisioned in the first couple weeks.
Yeah, they're playing like my one of my favorite stories this year is Forbert. I just like he grew up, he came up through that LA system. You know how
Kings,
we
yeah.
know they produce those great defensemen, and they had produced so many great defensemen. They thought it best to move on from them. Goes to Calgary. Winnipeg identifies a guy that has been a late bloomer, and now he's playing sometimes 20 to 25 minutes a night, which isn't probably ideal for Forbert. But when I watch the games, he actually doesn't look out of place at all. Anytime during the game, he's really been a great story. Rad Hernandez,
Yep.
Rad Hender Horizon. I think you're new. Lots of hype for Rad. Welcome. Hit subscribe and like if you can, please. That's freaking awesome. Glad to have you here, my friend. Luca just came in the chat. Woo, Luca. Okay, yeah, but Forbert has been really good. But I agree. I would say that giving up a pick for a good 3-4 here would be something really good. And also, I totally agree with you. Waswa has been playing his best hockey of his career for sure.
Yeah, that's why I think you can afford to rest Hellbuck a little bit more so he's more juiced down the stretch against some of the teams that you're going to go up against. Like, obviously, when you play the Senators, even at times, I think this team with how Broussard's played, you could rest him against the Calgary teams of the world, the Vancouver teams of the world, because they tend to give up some goals. That's been one of their issues. They tend to give up more goals than they score, all three of those teams, where every other team in Canada has actually been pretty good on the opposite trend.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think they're trending in the right direction. Um, I really like Mason Appleton as a developing player too,
yes,
kind of a 6'2" guy
yeah,
that's really been 8 and 8, 16 assists or 16 points, excuse me, in 32 games.
yeah.
He's really coming to his own.
He looked
This
like he
team's
was just
having
going to be a
everything move
fourth
right.
liner, but I really liked him. But he's actually, you know, do we have to? Can we give Paul? Did Paul, I don't know if Paul Maurice has ever won a Coach of the Year. I think he might have won one, but I mean, he's done a lot of great things for these teams. Let's face it. You've looked at players that they have in Winnipeg, and a lot of the time it seems that these players are over, are going over and above what I would have projected. A lot of them, right?
Yeah, and that's when you know it's definitely a mark of good coaching when you have guys really performing well, especially when you have guys that have been going down a little bit for you. You made a trade in season. and you've been able to respond to that and still perform really well. And now Dubois finally looks like he's starting to really mesh in well in the last week or some change compared to the first
Yeah,
stretch run of when he got there. So it seems like that move's going to work out
yeah,
well. And their defense is the only thing I think you would ever need to add to,
yeah,
really. Other than that, you're good. Even Matthew Perot, you're getting what you would want to see more out of a Matthew Perot this year. So
yeah,
everything's working well for
yeah.
them this year. Stachny's been great. So
Yeah, it's a fantastic team. I think it's a team that can really do some damage. Okay, we'll go to the Avalanche versus the Coyotes. This was what was the score here?
5 to
5 to
1.
1. Okay, Rickett 4-2 Avs, Jacket 6-2 Avs, Serrano 4-2 Avs, Mercer 5-1 Avs. Is Mercer in the house still? Is Mercer out there? What do you want, buddy? You want a net? You've got enough necklaces. You probably want a bracelet or a ring o perlo. I'm sure, but you got to tell me down there. You're going to take another necklace. All right. Done. Helen Hernandez, off to the Perlocopter with you. Mercer gets another necklace. I know, another one. No, I know. No, he can have more. He can have as many as he wants because he keeps on winning it. So just do it. Don't argue with me. Okay. All right. Off you go. Woohoo! Hype for the chat. CL had 5-2. No, he didn't. What did he have? I got so excited I lost my Avatar had 4-0 Avs. Perlo 3-0 Avs. Ulysses 4-2 Avs and CL 3-1 Avs. Okay, what more to say about this than the Avalanche are looking like they are going to rule the world, right?
Yep, yeah, that's all it is. They this Coyotes team obviously tries to just keep themselves in the game and hang with them. You can't do that against this star-studded Avs team that just has an embarrassment of riches on defense and offense, quite frankly. We said it in the Western video that we said, please check that out when it comes out for the trade deadline. They don't really need to do anything unless it maybe they want to add in another veteran bottom like two line forward, but they don't even need to do
No.
that because their team's so set and ready to go. It's a contender right now. You might maybe add in another goalie as Deli brought up, but I think Johansson was a prospect of Buffalo and actually might be able to behind a or yeah behind a good defense, a very good defense at that, actually put up backup numbers. So we'll see what he's able to do. Miska didn't perform to the level they thought he might be able to do coming from overseas, but don't give up on him. He'll go back down to the minors, to the Eagles, or they're on the taxi squad, but I think they should give him time with the Eagles and you see if he can develop into maybe by the time he's 27, 28 into what you thought he would be able to do this year.
Yeah, it's still saying Jonas Johansson for tonight's game. I keep on, but they may go back to back with
Yeah,
Grubauer. What's his name? Ulysses said that he doesn't think Colorado will be great in the playoffs. I'm assuming that's because of goaltending, but I have given Grubauer. I brought him into this Perlo's house to spanking here once already this year, and but he's looking good again. He does that to you though. He looks like he's going to beat the world, and then all of a sudden he falls off a cliff. So can Grubauer find that consistency?
well, he's been pretty consistent this year because he's in. Whenever you read articles for Vezina favorites or look at betting odds right now, he's always usually been one of the top three of late. I think a reason why you're likely not going to see Grubauer go back to back is his only issue in his career really has been injuries amongst anything else because his stats when you look at them in his career are a 2.34 and 9.21. He's 98 and 59. It's just been banged up. I think that's why you don't want to use him in back to backs. And I think we'll get into this later, but Johansson definitely playing for Colorado. It seems like he's going to go into tonight's game against the Coyotes. Has a good chance to maybe grab his first win here, but we'll get into that in a
Yeah,
bit. But this game was all Colorado, and I think Grubauer deserves the praise this year. He's had three non-quality starts, I believe, is the number that he's had, but other than those, he's been absolutely lights out. And other than goalies like Vasilevsky's of the world, who doesn't have any non-quality starts, most guys have a couple every
Yeah.
season.
What
So
I'm saying is he tends to do this, and then all of a sudden he's either injured or otherwise. But we'll see. They seem to believe in him. They don't seem to be doing anything to chase him. I think they may do something, especially if Francois can't come back from his injury. They're probably going to fill something other than Johansson. I know that the commentator for the Buffalo Sabres, said during a broadcast after Johansson was traded, or wow, like when it happened, the game was going on, or they talked about it after the trade or something like that. And he said that in his 20 years of broadcasting for the Sabres, and I think you know who the guy is, I love him. He said that was the worst goaltender he's ever seen in a Sabres uniform. So that tells you something. But a lot of that just has to do with how many times have we seen a goaltender go in with a different team? Because what I see with Johansson is a guy that has all the tools. He's got the size. He looks like he's got the flexibility. He seems
yeah,
to.
that's what I was saying. He has the positioning. He just plays for a team that's the Buffalo Sabres. It's like, yeah, if you play for a team like that or the Ducks, your numbers, unless if you're John Gibson, which he still looks pretty good, are not going to look great for those teams.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the other one. He said, Jacket says the Avs have scored in the last 16 periods in a row. That's pretty impressive. All I
Yeah.
know is when I watch them play, you don't beat up a Minnesota team like that unless you got some chops, man. They are freaking rolling right now. Okay, Vegas first Kings versus Sharks. Serrano had what was the score here? 3-1. No, what was it? 2-1 Sharks, right?
No, that was the 2-1 Sharks
Right.
victory. Yeah.
Serrano had 3-2 Kings. Jacket had uh, 4-3 Kings. Rickett had 5-4 Sharks. CL had 5-2 Kings. Mercer had 3-2 Sharks. And I had 5-3 Sharks. I did not see a low scoring game happening here. Uh, but I did see the Sharks winning. The Kings had played a lot of games mostly. The Sharks had had a little time for rest. It just felt like a good spot. The Kings were also putting in Quick, which he has when he's been good, but you know, he's kind of showing his age now, don't you think?
He showed his age a bit. I think this year he's basically been what Moose was for us last year as Flyers fans, where he'll make the saves he has to make. He's just not going to do anything over extravagant. But Quick has still been pretty solid this season, in my opinion, and has played fairly well. I mean, he still seems to keep the Kings in net, like at least I would say 80% of the time he's in net. So I think he's a guy. He usually will allow three goals or less still, or if he allows four, that's the most he allows, or to keep you in the game. But yeah, he's showing his aging sign. But that's why you got Pedersen, and you believed in Pedersen, and he's the guy they're cruising with Quick being that great guy in the room, like we talked about in the West podcast. Um, let's be honest. The guy that the Sharks taxed. Um, Beyond all use in Martin Jones really is the reason they won this game. Because yes, the Sharks played less games than the Kings recently, but they did not play better.
No.
Um, they ended up just figuring out how to win this
Yep.
game. Couture scored. Roy had a beautiful blast. Donato had a wraparound goal that I don't know if that hit something or how he got as much acceleration on that backhander as he did, but that was a pretty nice play. Um, I think the Sharks fought hard to win this game, and Marty Jones deserved to win this game. But the reason they won this game was Martin Jones looked like the Martin Jones from when the Sharks were making playoff runs and stood on his head after resting with having Dubnik play some games rather than playing like he has in recent years, which I think for Marty Jones, he has to hope maybe he gets bought out for the best of his career and goes somewhere else as a backup so he can kind of do what Talbot did and re kind of vive his career with somewhere that'll put him in a role that's going to allow him to just kind of play well in 25 games max to 28, like 30 games a season, rather than still playing like he is this year and getting overused, even when you're starting to see the wear and tear from that. But it was all Marty Jones yesterday. That's what I took from this game. He played lights out in this game. I watched this whole game covering both teams' road to heroics, and he played lights out. And Donato's just one of those players that's weird because he looks good when you watch him offensively.
Yeah.
He's just is so poor defensively. If he could just get, they were saying that too in the broadcast. If he could just get consistent more on defense, Bugner's told him to. He would play up lines. He just plays in the fourth line because he can't play defense.
Yeah, well, that's been the story his whole career, right? Out of Boston, over to Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota gives players lots of chance, and then now he's in San Jose and they're just having the same issue. But the thing is, when you watch him play, it's like this guy's got chops, but he just his hockey IQ in the defensive zone is just not there. I still think he's going to mature into a player. I really do. I think he's going to. It's just taken him a long time to get his mindset at playing both ways. He's very stubborn in the head, like a lot of us can be, and he's probably trying to figure it out, but just, I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, we now have to go to a. We're gonna be coming back here at the top after the top of the hour. We're gonna be doing the picks for tonight, which there's only 5 games. So we're gonna be able to talk a lot about each game, all of those things like that. Some people have asked some question. One person asked a question here about Go Caps about the break for the Washington Capitals. We can discuss that and all kinds of other stuff, and of course get into our picks. The most exciting time in the land here as soon as right away. But first, we're going to take a pause for a couple minutes. You can listen to the fine programming of For Your Pets.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have 2 very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of 2 locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our Groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
We are back, everybody. How is it in the land? Okay, just talk for me for a second. Make sure that's working. Yes, it is. Okay, good.
Yep,
Excellent.
it's working.
All right. Um, so, hopefully you've enjoyed that fine programming, and we are going to get into your picks now. We're going to talk about all the games for tomorrow. Look, you all stuck around. Wow, cool. Uh, so tonight's games was there Montreal was supposed to play tonight as well too, weren't they?
Um,
I believe they were.
I'm trying to remember, to be honest.
I believe they were to play.
No, Boston and New York's the game that's postponed tonight.
Oh, okay. Is that what it was? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the Islanders.
That's right, because John was going to be doing that game. John, off the
Yeah, the
wall, John.
off the wall, John. Yeah, the Isles and what you call them Bruins are the game that was postponed tonight. I think the next Montreal game is supposed to be, yeah, it's tomorrow against you guys, against the Edmonton Oilers.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. And is off the wall? Anybody know if off the wall's on tonight?
Maybe he switched his games, but obviously, yeah, he can't do the Islanders and Bruins, unfortunately.
Sorry. Yeah, I thought he said he was going to be on. Uh, What do you guys think of Caps taking a long break? It's going to happen to some teams. I find it odd that teams are even getting a long break right now. With all,
Yeah, it's definitely beneficial though in this condensed season for them to have a long break as one of the top contenders. I think because you get to have some rest for all your top guys when you've been performing at a top level. You hope it doesn't stunt your momentum, but I feel like a team like the Caps and Laviolette in his first season always gets his best results. I think that would probably continue.
yeah. I think in this season, every team would embrace a long break right now. These are teams are really tired. There's most teams are playing 4 games a week right now. In a regular schedule, 4 games a week is something like when you have a 4 game week, it's tough. And now you're doing it every single week. So, yeah, but the only problem, of course, is Washington's going to probably have a tough schedule from here on out after this, I would think.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't think they'll have much days off after a 5 game rest. I just think it's beneficial to have it because most teams aren't having much games off this year. Where you're a team that's able to get a 5 game rest, I mean, you might as well take advantage of being able to rest there and be able to come back fully energized compared to some teams that have been playing 5 games in 7 nights or something like that when you were off for 5 straight days. So take advantage of it. Don't do anything stupid in those 5 days and take advantage of the day off and then come back firing on all cylinders like they've been doing all season.
Right. Yeah. John is doing off the wall. John is doing Devils versus Flyers game tonight. If anybody in the chat right
Okay,
now
he
has
switched
never
it there.
heard of off the wall John, you really want to check out that live. He's great play by play commentary guy. Lots of fun. Lots of fun for the show is great. I listen to it all the time. I'll watch all the other games and I'll listen to him talk about whatever game is on while it's on. So yeah, highly recommend it. Okay, so let's get into our games, and we're going to get into our picks now. So what we usually do when I have two people here, so I don't, because I'm not as far as doing two things at one time. I can barely talk and drink my coffee at the same time. So let's if you can tell me what the games are, John, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the starting goalies. I got to bring up my injury reports here. See if we have any new injuries. And the weekly schedule as well. I like to look at that. Uh, I'm going to look at the weekly schedule. We'll go with the left wing lock one because the other one sometimes goes out on me when I'm doing this. Okay, so what's the first game on the score tonight there?
The first game would actually be the Philadelphia Flyers and the Devils. That's the only 7 o'clock hour game tonight.
Killer segue. Devils versus Flyers. Now, the Flyers are coming on a back to back. Did they play at home against the Islanders last night? They did, right?
Yeah, and it's at home again against the Devils tonight.
At home against the Devils on the back to back. And Carter Hart in net. Confirmation about the goalie for uh,
I just have expected for Blackwood on my end.
Blackwood is
I don't have
still projected. I'm a little concerned about
yeah.
that. It's taking so long. They usually throw surprises at you sometimes. When the longer it goes, the more a surprise may come at you. Uh, as far as Phillies played a ton of hockey. 5 games in 7 nights, I believe it is, that they're playing right now. Uh, if I remember correctly. I'm looking at it right now. I'll tell you in a second. Is this week 9? I thought it was week 10. I guess. It is
Oh
week
no, I don't
10.
really.
It
It's
is
week
week
10.
10.
Yeah, I usually don't keep track of. I just keep track of the NHL by the weeks. I don't go by like what week. It's not. I don't. It's not like football to me. I just watch all the games
Yeah,
and
I know. I'm just saying
anytime.
that that's
Yeah.
what they do on left wing lock. Okay. Philadelphia. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Uh, then that can't be right. No, that can't be
What?
right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in 9 nights on a back to back. That's a lot of freaking hockey.
Yeah, and I think the reason is they gave Hart. Alex Lyon was the backup last evening in the game that always started because exactly pretty much what Ulysses said. You have the players with this type of condensed season going through still the COVID world. There's a lot more mental health stuff they have to endure while doing this, where you could see it's getting to heart a little bit. The tenuous tenures of this season with how the defense is playing. I think it was smart by the staff to give him a full day break and just let Lyon be the backup, let him watch the game from probably the press box, to just kind of watch everything and just kind of settle down in his head, and then come back tonight swinging against a Devils team that you most certainly cannot take for granted. They've got players on their roster that will come back to bite you if you take them for granted, that's for sure. Especially on offense when it comes to Gusev, who might be traded in time but isn't yet. Jesper Bratt, obviously Jack Hughes, and Palmieri, who's just a scorer who's killed the Flyers in the past, as well as Zaka, Wood, and Zajac. You can't take this team for granted. They were kind of screwed by Blackwood being out. They would probably be more right at 500 without that, because they're a team that looks good some nights and looks like they could be a 500 team and not like four below if they had some things go better. So the Flyers must come out strong in this game. I think Hart will perform better in this game. If they play like they did yesterday against the Islanders in 60, they should beat the Devils tonight, unless if Blackwood pulls what Sorokin did and just plays out of his mind, assuming he actually is in, since he's still projected and not confirmed.
Right. Okay, so what do you got for a score? And Ulysses, I haven't got yours in here either, and there's a few more people. If you don't know, what we're doing here is, for this one, it's the Devils versus Flyers. You tell us who's going to win, what's the score going to be, and if you get it right tomorrow, you get fabulous prizes.
Yeah, since the Flyers have played a lot of hockey recently, like you brought up, I would say if they play like yesterday, they should be able to keep this more lower scoring. So I'm gonna put it at 3-1 Flyers, I think, because if they play like they did, like I said, against the Isles yesterday, the Devils, you should be able to limit their chances like you did against the Isles. But also, if you can push the ante against the Devils, they obviously don't have the experienced defense as the Islanders do. They have a pretty young defense. You should be able to capitalize more against them, unless if, like I said, the one caveat is Blackwood playing completely out of his mind if he is in, just like Sorokin did last evening.
Yeah, okay. So what did you say again? You said, Pro Joe, you said 3-1 Flyers. C. Rad said, interesting, John, off the wall hockey. John, yes, C. Rad, go check it out. You won't be disappointed. It's fantastic. Also, he's got a lot of great videos too, by the way. Uh, so
Yeah, the
Luca,
Flyers are 3-6-1 in their last 10. That's why we really need to get moving in the right direction quick, being the key word, quick, Ulysses.
yeah, Luca is. Are you putting in a pick, Luca? And Ulysses, I still haven't seen you. Oh, you're dealing with people all this time. Okay, don't worry about it, Ulysses. Thanks. If you can't, yeah, if you can't do it, that's fine. We'll let you get away with it, I suppose. Luca, you want to put in a pick here, buddy? Because we're going to be moving on to another game right away. We do have time though. I
Yeah,
gotta
I
put
will say,
I gotta put mine in, and I'll talk about the game a little bit. Um, I think the Devils 4-2. C Rad Devils 4-2. C
yep.
Rad Devils 4-2 Devils. I am scared. I'm scared of Carter Hart. I am. Till I see him going back to where he was before, and that could be tonight. I know it's going to happen. You know, I know Carter Hart's going to turn it around and go off the wall. Like, I know that's going to happen. He's going to be stealing games for Philly again. You know, and I think that's kind of part of what happened with Philly is Carter Hart stopped stealing games for them, and then AV, which was telling them the whole time to play a certain way defensively, said, "See, you're going to rely on Carter the whole time. You wore the kid down, and and now got us. They're playing the way they should, and I think it's going to help Carter Hart. But is it going to be tonight on a back-to-back? I'm not sure. I'm
well, they
going
played the way they should for one game. We got to
for one
see
game.
that. Yeah, we got to see that continuous now. Yeah.
I'm going with 3-2 Devils here, and I hope I'm wrong. I very much hope I'm wrong because I am a
Yeah.
Philadelphia Flyers fan, but
You want to know the
I
weird
got
stat the
3-2
Flyers?
Devils.
Before we move on, though, the weirdest stat the Flyers have is before of late they haven't been out shooting teams, which is funny because they started losing more when they outshot teams and won more early on when they got outshot by 20. But their shooting percentage is top three in the league, which just goes to show the Flyers at times just don't smartly shoot the puck. They're shoot it into traffic. They end up shooting it when they shouldn't, and then they have a shot on a rush and not take advantage of it. I think they have to be smart when they're actually aggressive and then cold back and make a pass when they should make a pass. They seem to kind of get held up in decision making at times. And that's why I think you're third in shooting percentage, but 11th now pulling back in goals, but also just been inconsistent when it comes to having shots on net throughout the season and until recently haven't put up consistent numbers in the like 30s on shots on net. So they got to be able to be smarter when it comes to key in-game decision making to turn this rut around as well.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that it's kind of a domino effect that happens through the team. Uh, I spelt it wrong. Gotcha, Ulysses. Whatever. I got you there, buddy. Okay, we uh,
Gotcha.
we can take things slowly here because we have lots of time because we have 5 games. But what's the next game we're gonna do, buddy?
The next one, there's two games at the 8 o'clock hour, so you can either do Florida and Chicago first or Detroit and Nashville.
Well, let's see what score says. Score says the next one is Panthers, Florida, and the Blackhawks. That's an interesting game. Lots to talk about this game. I've heard stuff all over the board on this one. Uh, Drigger is in net for the Panthers, and Lankinen is in net for the Blackhawks.
Oh, is that
Uh,
confirmed on your end? It still says projected on mine.
yeah, it's confirmed on left wing lock.
Okay, cool.
Drigger and as far as injuries are concerned, Florida doesn't have hardly any injuries. And the cool thing that we can talk about here, whether we talk about the game or not, is that it looks like Kirby Doc could be back soon. However, he's not going to be back tonight. And that'll be interesting to see. Like I've been saying all along that I think Chicago's going to fall off, but Kirby Doc, right?
He's coming back at the right time. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on a 4 game skid, but the time he's coming back, that should be used as an extra motivator for this team to continue to keep chugging along here. It's going to be tough against the Panthers. They're obviously helped out by the fact that they're actually playing in Chi-Town rather than down in Florida, where the Panthers have obviously been amazing this year, even though they're not the biggest fan-supported team, even when everyone's there. But nonetheless, they've been performing at home. This team with Chicago, though, has obviously been impressive. Dreiger versus Lankinen, both goalies have been good. I would say I would lean definitely to the Panthers winning this game, but the Blackhawks have impressed me a lot throughout this season, and also have been good to my wallet at times. But I think they'll lose this game in a close effort. I'm going to put it at 3-2 Panthers because I think this will be a good goalie battle and a good back and forth game where you see Chicago playing more like they have been before this 4 game skid, really playing a good full brand game of hockey rather than kind of having some of these in-game mistakes similar to the Flyers' recent struggles in this last 4 game stretch. Where if you can limit this just to 4 games and not like 2 weeks like it's been for the Flyers, you're sitting still pretty when Kirby Doc comes back. So this is a big game for the Blackhawks to just kind of have a moral victory moving in the right direction. And I'm actually going to give it OT. I'll say I think the Blackhawks will push it to OT. So I'll give it 3-2 Panthers win in overtime.
4-2 Hawks. Okay. Projo is 3-2 Hawks.
No, 3-2 Panthers in
Oh,
OT because
3-2
I think the
Panthers.
Hawks.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Hawks will push them, and this will be a good game to start pushing back in the right direction to go on maybe a 4-game streak in the right direction now rather than the skid they're going on and have Kirby Doc coming back just in the nick of time.
Holy Jackets going 7-3 Hawks. Ulysses is
No, then he
going.
said Florida 7-3 afterwards. So did he mean the Hawks or?
Oh,
Because look, he said back to back: Shy 3-7, FL 7-3.
okay. Uh, who else should I have here? Ulysses had 4-2 Florida. 4-2 Florida Panthers. Hockey News Reports has 4-1 Panthers. The thing for me in this game, as I keep on doing these CL, is 6-3 Panthers. Uh, the thing for me in this game is Drigger being in. I was kind of leaning the Hawks. And then once Drigger was in, I was leaning Florida.
Yeah, I think it'll be a close game. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Do you think it'll be a bigger victory or like close, like 3-2, like I said, or more like a bigger win, like Hockey News said, 4-1 Panthers?
Jacket 4-3 Panthers. I think I got Jacket in twice now. Yeah, yeah, he was first. I had him in twice. I think it's probably going to be close. Most Lankinen is just too good, right? Like I haven't seen Lankin. I guess he's had the odd kind of not great game, but for the most part, he's been kind of off the
Every here
charts.
and there.
So I think at the very least, Chicago they'll be in the game. But with Drigger being as it is, Florida what was the last game Florida played? They lost, right, to Tampa Bay. They lost to Tampa Bay, and they lost to Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay had played five. I really thought Florida was going to win that game, and I think they're kind of.
Yeah, that was Saturday's game.
Yeah, I just think that the Florida team as a whole is a little. It can keep up to Chicago's speed, but has more size than Chicago. So not a good combination. You know what I mean? I think the size advantage in Florida is going to wear Chicago down. So that with that being said, I'm going to go. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, and I'm going to say 3-1 Panthers.
3-1 Panthers.
Yeah, I
Okay, yeah,
think
you
they're
were
going to have a little tough time getting past Lankinen. Probably get one in. It'll be like 2-1 all the way to the end, and then they'll get an.
You said the same as Kevin, because Kevin just jumped in and said 3-1
Oh,
Panthers. A good old Kevin Serling.
Serling in the house. 3-1 Panthers. We're gonna. So, well, now we don't have to split a Pearls of Wisdom necklace anymore since we got all the new swag. So we'll just you can pick one and then I'll pick something different. You think it's going to be lots of goals in this one? Jacket says there's going to be lots of goals in this one. Ulysses said 4-2 Florida. Yeah, I got you, buddy. I got you. Two interesting teams for sure. So I think these are both teams where you're kind of sitting there wondering if one's going to start falling off a little bit here somewhere down the road, right? Nobody really expected them to be quite this good, but maybe a lot of them people are going, okay, are you going to be able to keep it up? You know, and I think if either team is going to keep it up, I really just like Florida better that way. By the way, if there's any new
Florida's proven.
if there's any new people in
Florida's
here,
proven.
yeah,
I haven't seen anyone post a new score yet, but Florida's proven that on the mid-season award show. Check that out that I put on my Sports for Nine news page with the great E Money that Pirlo introduced us
Oh
to in his
yes.
podcast. Yeah, I did my NHL mid-season award, and we and him talked about if Florida gets Bob, like who hasn't even been playing as good this year, he's looked a little bit better in the second half of the first half of the season rather than the first couple weeks. In the last 3 or so weeks, his numbers have started trending upwards. But if they get what Bob was eventually and get him to be even close to what he once was, this is a team that seems like with the way they're playing, they could be a top contender in the East. It's just if you have Bob playing like he is now and have Dreger, you have to wait and see what we see from Dreger in the postseason if he's called upon, since he hasn't been put in that situation in the past. In his first time in there, if Bob doesn't step up, but this team is a top contender if Bob keeps trending in the right direction rather than the wrong direction. So
Yeah, and I still haven't liked everything from what I've seen from him. Yeah, he has his moments, but he's not anywhere near where he was when he was in Columbus for sure.
no,
So that's definitely going to be a big part for them in general, not
he's
just
just
now,
trending.
not just now, but the future. Like, really, they need him to for the future with all the money they're giving him and all that stuff like that. Okay, so we got two more games and we got a half an hour, so we got lots. No, we got three more games, right? Five games today.
Yeah, there's still three more. The next one would be Detroit and Nashville because that's the other 8 o'clock hour game.
Red Wings on the road versus the Predators, and very interesting game here. Uh, it's almost assuredly going to be Grice in net for Detroit because Bernier is injured. However, I don't think anything's been confirmed on that yet. No. Saros, you would think, would be in here unless the Predators think it's a good spot to throw Rene in since Thomas Grice is pretty much their backup, which is possible. Which is possible. Because you do got to get as much use out of your backup as possible. It's just that Rene played so many games in a row there. They may want to give him a really good rest right now and keep on rolling with the Saros, who has been playing very well. As far as injuries, Predators have a lot. Ellis, Duchesne, Josie, but it doesn't. They actually. This is one of those weird times that it happens. It seems to happen like to teams every year. Some teams every year, they get injuries and they start playing well, and a lot of that, I suppose, has to do with the players coming in to take over for those injuries, playing with some urgency, and that's what I see with Nashville because they want to stay in the lineup. They want that NHL freaking scratch, right? And they want to win that job. And that's what I'm seeing with Nashville right now, which has created a really. I mean, they just beat what Tampa Bay, Carolina. Who did they? Who else? Did they beat somebody else? Did Dallas? I think it was. Like they beat.
I
They just
think it was Dow. Yeah,
they just beat a
I
lot
can't
of really
remember. I'm
good
blanking.
teams. And
Yeah, Dow was 4-3. That was the shootout win on the 21st on Sunday.
right.
That was that shootout win on Sunday. Yeah.
And as far as like the what's the weekly schedule? I think Detroit isn't too bad. They're pretty rested. Nashville, on the other hand, Nashville is a little
Yeah, Detroit's
Nash.
had 3 days off.
Yeah, Nashville might be the more tired team here. So there's a lot going on here. Nashville's very injured. Detroit's got pretty much everybody back now, except for the most important one for them in Bernier. So what do you say about this game, my friend?
I think with how Tomas Grice has been struggling this year, unfortunately, because he's a goaltender I've always been a fan of. Um, I'm going to, even though, like USC said, Nashville, for some reason, Detroit's always a team that has their number. I just feel like due to the fact that Bernier's out at the worst time possible, I think it'll be able to go to Nashville, and I'm going to give it a 4-2. Actually, no, I'll go 4-1 Predator score just because I would have made it a little bit closer if they had someone else, like they had a young goalie that could come in and maybe step up, but they don't. They have Grice, who's unfortunately underperforming this year. So that's why I'll go 4-1 Predators in regulation, obviously, over the Wings. But I do think if Bernier was in, I will say I probably would have picked this the other way as a potential upset just because of exactly what Ulysses very smartly highlighted. Nashville is 1-7 versus Detroit. Um, but Grice just hasn't impressed me this year, so I have to roll with Nashville, whether it's Rene or Soros. I just think they'll be able to get it done on Tomas Grice and Detroit's defense.
Yeah, Ulysses put the 7-1 up there. I thought that was the score he was putting in. I wrote I Yeah, okay, I got CL. Anybody else in here now? Anybody new here? What we're doing is Detroit, Nashville. I see we got lots of people here in the chat. You take Detroit and Nashville. You tell me what the score is, and tomorrow, if you're in the when you're in the chat, why wouldn't you be here? Of course, you're going to be here. When you're in the chat tomorrow, and we do the scores, which we do the first hour, you'll get fabulous prizes. Nashville, I do picks for people on a Patreon thingamajigger. You guys can join that if you want. I can tell you how to do that. And I really agonized over this game because of one of the reasons was because of what Ulysses said right there, that Detroit kind of has Nashville's number, it seems. But I'm with you on, I just can't trust Grice right now. He just hasn't looked good to me. And it's really, and Saros has. Ever since he's come back, Saros has looked really good.
And even if Rene's in, he's battled this year through his numbers don't look great, but he's battled for them through having to play much more games than they would have liked him to. So
Yeah, that's we have way more. Why do we have so few people giving picks here? Did I miss a whole bunch of picks? I got Saros.
Mercer gave 3-2 Nashville.
Yeah, are you guys all thinking about this deep and hard or something? Because we had crap loads for the Panthers and Blackhawks, and so far we only have.
Well, I don't know if Nashville and Detroit is a game a bunch of people are also thinking of putting uh, all of their mind work into
what did you
compared to
say, by
something
the way?
like.
What did you say for Detroit? Or sorry, you said Nashville.
I know I said the one Predators over Wings, yeah,
3-1 Preds.
4-1.
4-1 Preds.
And then Ulysses just said he's taking Nashville 3-2.
Wow! After telling us that trend, he goes for Nashville, 3-2 Preds. Okay, we got two more games to go here. And also, there was
Okay.
another reason why. I knew there was another reason. I was trying to think of it while we were talking here. The other reason why is Nashville can see the playoffs in their window right now, where Detroit really can't. And I just think that Nashville is going to have dig deep in this one. And Detroit's playing for pride, and they are doing pretty well at playing for pride. Detroit, they're not rolling over at all. They're playing hard, but I just think Nashville's just going to have that little extra in this one. So what's the next?
The next one is the 8:30 tilt against the in Dallas against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That would be the next game.
So Tampa versus Dallas.
Yep.
Lightning in Dallas versus Dallas. Okay. So we have, I'm pretty sure Vasilevsky will be in here, but I'm also pretty sure that hasn't been,
It on my end, it hasn't been confirmed for either. It says Vazzy and Hudobin are both expected.
Hudobin is confirmed on mine.
On yours, okay. So Hudobin's confirmed on yours, and Vazzy's not confirmed on either of ours.
Right. And injuries are a factor here. I'll look them up again just to get. Uh,
These teams have the same rest, though. Looking at their schedule, both teams played the 21st last, and both had a good amount of games 16th, 18th, 20th, and 21st for the Lightning. The Stars had a game on the 16th, 18th, 20th, and 21st as well. So it's literally identical rest pretty much for
wow.
these teams.
Oh, you want to? Okay, this is going to change. Well, may not change your mind, but yeah, they got about the same rest. Radulov is out again. Ropo Hintz is out, and
Yeah.
now I see Kiviranta, the playoff hero. He'll be out for a little while. Rick Bonus says, and Radek Faksa will be a game time decision. So if they're missing all of those guys, plus Pesic, Bishop, and in Tampa Bay, I don't think they're missing too much. Ryan McDonough, that's right, he got hurt last game. Ryan McDonough won't be in. And then Kucherov, we already knew all that.
Yeah,
Pretty
obviously
much.
Kucherov, and then Stevens, who's not who's a good player, but obviously not an impact part of their team. Mitchell Stevens is also injured. He's played a
Oh,
handful of games for
wait.
them this year.
Rad put a score in, and I missed it. For Detroit,
Detroit 4-2.
four to
Yeah.
two. Wings. Okay, so go ahead and go away there, and I'll try to catch up here. What do we have? The first one is Avatar has the Bolts 5-1.
He has them in 5-1 Bolts. But this game, before I really looked and saw all the new injuries with Dallas, I thought Dallas, with their games on hand, the league leader, I think, is 34 games to 28,000 played. They had time to make it up. And at home, I really liked them in this chance. They're 6-4-6 at home. Obviously, the Lightning are great on both ends, being one of the best teams in hockey. They're 10-4-2 on the road. But I like Dallas in this game without injury. Now I think it's really going to take, obviously, kind of playing a little bit like the old school Dallas Stars, trying to score early with the strength you still have of the Benj of the world, the Delandrias of the world, Goryanov, and obviously Pavelski, and how good Robertson's playing, and then trying to play that more defensive hold the lead style, because you're not going to be able to play as much a bonus system with all those injuries. So it's going to take Hudobin and just really coming out firing early for them to win this game. And I think with how touted and depth ridden that Lightning team is, that's just going to be too much for them with all those injuries. So I'm going to go actually really close to Ulysses instead of 5-2. My projection was I was going to give the Stars because of how I've loved their young guys performing 3 goals in this game, even through their injuries. So I'll go 5-3 Tampa.
5-3 Bolts. I'm not sure that Dallas, with these injuries of Radulov and they're very Hints, especially with Sagan already out, losing Hints is, I like their kids. They're good, but they're still kids, right? They're still young, very young. Just trying to remember their names off the top of my head. Go off on me. They've been playing well, but they're still young, and this is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, Tampa Bay has been playing a
Yeah.
lot of hockey here. If there has a could be a problem, it's that Tampa Bay runs out of steam here in this game. Um, I'm not seeing it though. I think it's going to be, and also Hudobin's been on and off this year. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's way off.
Agreed. Yeah, he's been very up and down this year. Oddie's been the more consistent of the two for sure. Is one of the better productive goaltenders in his 15 game clip this year. But I would have gave it to the Stars just because of how well Robertson, Gurianov, Delandria have looked of late, and you've had guys perform when in the lineup. You have to have a guy like a Cogliano and a Tanner Kiro, people like that step up a little bit more with guys out. But I would say if it wasn't for these injuries, I actually would have thought this game would be one of the upsets of the night. But because of that, I have to go 5-3 to Tampa Bay. And it could be if they decide not to start Vasilevsky, maybe even 5-4, just because of you could sneak a little bit more goals through the journeyman goaltender Curtis McElhinney, obviously, than you can one of the best of our generation in Vasilevsky. So
Yeah, I don't think they're going to put McElhaney in here. The only way they would do that is if they were probably on a back-to-back, I would think. Yeah, I don't think I can't see a reason why they would be putting Mac in here on this one.
I don't see it either. I'm just surprised Vasilevsky's not fully confirmed yet. That's all it is.
So yeah, me too. And that's the thing. You would think it would be just like, why do you need to wait around? Possibly, especially when Dallas already confirmed they're putting in Hudobin, which has me a little concerned because if McElhaney's in here, it changes the whole thing. Uh, I don't have much faith in McElhaney this year. He's been a good soldier. Love the guy for his career and what he's done. We, yeah, if McElhaney's in, probably Dallas wins this game. I agree with Jacket. So keep watching that. But as it stands, I do think Vasilevsky will be in. I don't think, and somebody who said this, Kyle Mercer said, this is a potential disaster for Dallas if Tampa comes out hard. I totally agree with you. If Tampa,
Agreed.
if
Yeah.
Tampa comes out hard right away and takes it over right away, I don't see Dallas coming out, bailing themselves out. They got to get ahead early and shut her down. Um, so I think I'm gonna go Bolts. I'm gonna go 4-1
Four
Bolts.
one. Okay, you're gonna give them the bigger goal advantage.
I'm gonna give the Bolts. I'm gonna take the Bolts 4-1. Yeah. Were you surprised by that?
No, no, I was just thinking. I just feel like this Stars team will still be able to score a little bit more than one, even
Oh,
with
I
their
see what you
injury.
mean.
That's all
I
I see.
Vasilevsky and that a lot of their and Tampa Bay's got a shutdown defense. I think Dallas could score more, but they got to score them right away because I think Tampa could be a little bit tired here, and because they have played a lot, so when they get up ahead, they're not going to run and gun after that too much. So
Also, Tampa plays, they kind of played, like I said, going into this game, the same amount of games since the 16th. They kind of been on the same schedule path. But compared to the way they play, Tampa obviously plays a much quicker pace. Then Dallas has young guys that now speeded up their pace. But with the Bens of the world and others, they don't play, obviously, like as quick as Tampa does on both ends. So I feel like they're probably a little bit less likely to get gassed as time goes on. That's why I said, like you hinted at in yours, if they can score early, that's the only way they have a chance to win. Because
yeah.
Dallas doesn't have injuries on their defense, really. It's just with their offense. If you can pot 2 to 3 early, and Hudobin can shut them down, that's the best chance for the
Mm.
Stars. Because I think that's going to be difficult where I think it'll be more likely to be back and forth early, just because you're losing good defensive forwards as well who are out with injury and not just offensive guys for you in Faska and Radulov as well. I
Mm.
think that's going to be why they're not able to win because I would be surprised if they go up 2-0 and keep that 2-0 lead for too long, losing that defensive ability from the forward position with the guys that are out.
Yeah. Yeah. There was something else I was going to say about that, but oh yes, if Hudobin does what Hudobin can do, this could be like a 2-1 game. It could go either way because you've got Vass and Hudobin, and we've seen what Hudobin can do in the playoffs. He can shut down anything, so that's
Yeah,
possible. I just haven't seen it enough this year to be confident that he's going to do it tonight. That's all. What do we got for the next game, buddy?
The last game of the evening tonight is going to be the Colorado Avalanche again playing the Arizona Coyotes, which
Right,
that's of course a back-to-back as they played them last evening and beat them 5-1 like we talked about earlier,
right.
and now play them again this evening.
And of course, the interesting part of this game is going to be who's going to be in goal because Kemper is hurt. Ranta played last night. It's probably going to be Aiden Hill, who is probably looking like he's in his career is going to be a very good backup. But you never know. Goaltenders are voodoo. He's got a lot of tools. He reminds me of a poor man's Mike Smith in a lot of ways. But he, he can stop the puck all right. He's
Mm-hmm.
certainly not Ranta or Kemper, but he can have his days
No,
too. But if
he's pretty good at his hand games, I
Jonas
would say.
Johansson might have the biggest game of his career if he's in tonight, really, because this is going to be the game where there's no excuses game. You can't say the team in front of you has anything to, this is huge for him. If he can have a big game here, he can start solidifying himself with a name to be able to play in this league a little bit, at least to start, anyways. So a lot of pressure on Jonas Johansson if he's in. Aiden Hill's a little more veteran and a little more secure in his position. As far as injuries,
He's been in the this year.
Avalanche are healthy again and crushing now everybody in their wake the last 3 games. And the Coyotes are the Coyotes. They're going to play defensive. They're going to fight hard and try to outwork their opposition and hopefully score enough to win. I don't think there's any significant injuries on both, and they're both playing about the same amount of games.
Other than
So,
the goalies you mentioned, and I think Jomerson um,
oh, is he
is
out?
sitting out tonight because of
Good.
his lower body. Yeah,
Oh, that
or
hurt.
upper body.
That
Scratch that first. That upper body.
Arizona doesn't want any of their defensemen out. That's not good. Yeah. Okay. So, what do you got about this game, buddy?
I think this game, even though it's a back-to-back, the Avalanche have a healthy roster. They have guys, if they want to, realistically, that they could move into their lineup because they played a back-to-back, like O'Connor, for example. If they want to put him in to rest some other bottom forward. So I think the Avalanche are better suited. I think missing your most consistent defenseman veteran defenseman in Jomerson is definitely not a good thing playing the Avalanche. So I'm going to think this game's all Avs again, but because they played last night, it's not likely to be back-to-back 6-goal affairs. I would say this one's more going to be a 3-1 Avalanche win, where it'll be a 4-goal total, and the Avalanche will still really outplay them. But I think you're not going to see as much of the push like you saw from the first through third because you're going to tire eventually playing last night into tonight. So I would go 3-1 Avalanche with a pretty sound victory by them as well because they just have all the depth. You can throw in O'Connor or Shearwood if you want to rest people, and they're fit in fine. You can throw in Patterson or Renouf if you want to rest one of your defensemen, and that'll work fine against a Arizona team that's not the most attack hungry team, obviously. So they got moves they can make. Johansson, I think you're right. It's set up to be potentially the biggest day of his life if he does get the start. And I'm excited to see what he can do. This is a game I'll definitely be watching. I really try to root on goaltenders when I can, and I think he might be a guy in this situation might get a chance to actually show he can be a backup led by a great defense in Colorado. Which that's what it takes. I understand people say like, "Oh, well, when you're playing with that good of a defense, you should be putting up great numbers." But you still got to make the saves when it comes to you. And he was hung out to dry in Buffalo. I've watched him in the minors a bit. He had done that in his AHL career, has made the saves he needs to make, has the body build of a current goalie, and is looks decent positionally. I'm excited to see what he can do in Colorado. This is his last chance for him NHL wise, so he's going to definitely probably, at least it seems like it is. So he's definitely going to try to hit it here, I think, and I think he has a decent chance behind this defense. But I don't really agree with the talk of a goalie. Like you have to have a good defense and a good goalie to win Some goalies can carry you over the hump, obviously, and some defenses can carry you over the hump. But it's best to have both. So it's hard to say, well, this goalie's just doing good because of the defense, or this defense is just doing good because of a goalie. Because if you're a GM, I know my aspiration would be, first and foremost, have a great back end and have a good goaltender, and then build the offense. Because defense wins championships along with goaltending in hockey. You could average 3 goals a game and win if you, or 3.5 if you have that good of a defense and goaltending. You can't average giving up 5 goals a game usually and still go far. So.
Yeah, there is a concern about Johansson because I mean, he really didn't look good in Buffalo, but I think the defense will
No,
be.
he didn't.
I think the defense will be strong enough. And the other thing we have to take into consideration too here is that this is the first time this team will have played with this goaltender in net. So there's as defenses kind of grow together with. That's why I'm not a proponent of going out and doing what Florida did and paying $10 million for a goaltender to from another team to come on your team, especially a veteran one, because you have to mesh with that goaltender. It's organic growth defense. If I drafted a goaltender and he turned out to be like Carey Price or Bobrovsky was in Columbus or something like that, maybe then okay, I'm going to pay that guy huge because he has grown with my defense and my team has known that goaltender's tendencies. As we can see, it was very difficult for the team and for Bobrovsky last year in Florida, and it's still this year quite a bit. It seems to be a lot of adjustment yet. Now, this could grow over time, but usually for the first 2 years, it's very difficult unless you get like what happened with Colorado when Patrick Waugh went there. You know, somebody like Patrick Waugh steps in, and it doesn't seem to matter what defense what
Yeah,
he's
I
playing
think
with.
it all depends. I think it all depends on the system for me because now with what Everson's done in Minnesota, he's running Talbot, he's done really well. Kokkonen's progressed quicker. I had next year pegged as the year he would really take over as the starter, not this year. So he's done that a year ahead of what I thought. And when you have people come into this type of team led by Bednar, I think he integrates them really well right away, just like Carolina does, led by Brindamore with their goaltending. Nedeljkovic came in very, very good immediately just because of how great of a system they run. Same with Colorado. But he also made the saves that he has to make. So that's what's key for Johansson. You could run as good of a system as you want. There's still going to be at least usually 2 to 3 average plays in every hockey game that you're going to have to make a pretty decent save as a goaltender, even if you have one of the best defenses. So he still needs to make the saves, but I think here, led in a good system, is the best bet for his career to start trending in the right direction rather than keep going down and down, where I think it messes with your mental psyche at that point, like it probably started doing to him in Buffalo. So I'm
Yeah.
happy that Johansson gets to be in a great setting like Colorado. And this team, if we have to remember, if Francois comes back, Miska's a guy that always looked more like a backup developing in the minors, just could never really figure it out fully yet and kind of perform more like a third stringer. But if he goes down to the Eagles and starts doing some stuff, Francois comes back, Johansson looks good. You got some all of a sudden goaltending depth, especially with Gruby being a Vezina candidate right now in Colorado, along with a stacked roster. So this is a team that's definitely, if they keep trending this way, as we thought at season's beginning, at least we were right on this one, is definitely a cup contender.
Yeah, definitely. Colorado is most certainly. I still say they are my favorite for the Cup right now. As long as Grubauer keeps holding it together, this team is stacked. Bowen Byram, I mean, he's even better than I thought he was going to be. He looks on like Bowen
Yeah,
Byram, Kale McCarr, and what's the guy they got from
Timmons.
Ottawa there in the Duchesne
Um,
deal?
you're not talking about Connor Timmons.
No. Uh,
Um, well, they got Ryan Graves and Samuel Girard on their
Gerard.
team.
Gerard.
Yeah.
Gerard. And Ryan Graves is a solid defensive defenseman. And then Taves. Like, but just that combination of Makar and Bowen Byram, those two young guys like that, not too many teams can compete with just that alone. Byram
Yeah.
is way better than I thought he was going to be. Way better.
Yeah, he's a fantastic defensive defenseman, and he's paired now. You have a very defensive line of a guy that's finally gotten a chance in the NHL as a great AHL defenseman in Jacob McDonald. So you got a very defensive line there. But since they had to put McDonald in, that line's actually looked really good. They've really been limiting the chances, and good for him to finally, after playing years in the AHL, to actually get a chance and now have a good handful of games. He has 18 games played this year for Colorado. That just proves how this team just knows how to integrate people. This guy was a career AHL where they found something like you hinted at for Forbort earlier. This team scouted him and went, this guy's looked really good progressing in the AHL. If people go down, as Connor Timmins has for them, um, I think they showed, and with Timmins also showing rawness still out of the young guys, which is all right. I think will still be a great defenseman. He's just the one that's still showing it. McDonald was a great small pickup that by a very brilliant general manager that doesn't just make pickups for no reason in Sakic. So congratulations to him to be another late bloomer. He's kind of the tenority of this year that's really kind of made a name for himself after going years of the difference is he was undrafted, but after going years of being in the AHL for a while.
Graves, you mean? Is that what you were talking about?
No, no. I was talking about Jacob
Oh
McDonald.
yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah,
gone
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
he's
right.
played a couple
He's a good
played
story. Yeah.
a good amount of games this year for him and really has performed well
Mm.
as a defensive defenseman after being a really good career AHL performer. Now getting his first real chance in the NHL, he's taking advantage of it.
Excellent. All right, thanks. Go Caps, you're back, and we got to head out now. Thanks for coming in tomorrow, 3 to 5. Thank you, Pro Joe, for coming in. I hope to have you more on here.
Yeah, I'll try to be back on Thursday and Friday, one of those 2 days that I can find time, because tomorrow I'm covering the Phantoms game and I have to leave before 5 o'clock from my house. So I know tomorrow I can't, but Thursday or Friday look pretty good for me now.
Well, remind me of that question tomorrow, Racket, about who we think in the third or fourth spot. Who do you think? Who do you like in the fourth spot? I think you must be talking about in the Avalanche division. Who do you just real quick? Who do you think in that division?
Um, in the Avs division, I personally I still think the Kings have a chance, and I might be a bit biased covering them, but they're a +3. St. Louis just got healthy. Their defense is they're still giving up more goals than they're scoring on the season. The Kings aren't. I think it's going to all depend on Pedersen. If Pedersen keeps playing like this, and Bennington keeps being a little meh, like he's been after a great start to the season. He's been kind of Bennington of late, where he's up and down, and letting his emotions get to him. I still feel the Kings actually have a chance to get that 4 spot, but this next week for them is huge. So next week when I'm on with you, that might be a completely different answer. But for now, this next week is huge for them. I still think the Kings still outscoring rather than allowing more goals, have a better chance than St. Louis for the current time being. I like their two goalies set better than St. Louis too, with Huso as their backup. So that's why I'll go King.
All right, we'll get to the Central and everything else tomorrow. I'm not sure if we'll have. I get surprised in the morning on who's going to be with me. Really like to have John or possibly Peyton. He's going to school though, but maybe Steele. We don't know. But thank you
Yeah,
again, Joe, for coming on. And you're going to be covering the Phantoms tonight, which is pretty cool. Tomorrow. And you're going to be. Are you doing your show this week?
Yeah, I think the idea is I have to talk to Steele, but I think we're supposed to pre-record it early tomorrow before I would go up, and then he'll post it, and then I usually post it on my channel like a day or two later, so it gets trends on his, and then it picks up on mine as well. But like we said earlier, stay tuned for the West video we did for the trade deadline that'll come out on Steel's YouTube with all the bells and
Yes.
whistles, and then Hero and I put it out on ours just as the raw material. But it's going to be a great episode for you. It's about an hour and 30 long, but it has a lot of great detail with the great Anthony Sardelli
Yes.
in it as well
Yes.
to go over the
We
West
were
Division.
fortunate enough to get Anthony Sardelli, who's one of the best writers out there. I'll tell you, he's fantastic. Really highly recommend you check out that video. Also, if you want to see what my picks are from front to back, go to my channel right now. Go to my picks. I got a picks video up there right now before the game starts. Make yourself some money, and you can go to my Patreon as well. If you have any questions about that, just message me in the comments of my YouTube videos, and I can show you how to get a free month of that. That's our full 42, everybody. I got to get out of here. Thanks for Joe for coming. Have a great day, everybody. Lots of love to you. Okay, bye. There will be Frolic.